Coming up on NBC 26 today, we now know the name of a victim of a fatal fire near Wild Rose, what we know about the investigation. And we enter day 6 of a partial government shutdown, the latest developments out of Washington. And talk about a comeback, the Dow making its largest single-day point gain ever, what it means for consumers. All right, welcome. Happy Thursday, everyone. We're almost to Friday. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah, and so do the mild temperatures.
Yes.
Unless you're a snowmobiler.
Then you're probably a little sad this time.
Yeah, a little frustrated with this pattern. Now, some of you still seeing a little bit of snow, but that's going to change over to rain. Is a very strong area of low pressure is going to track towards our area, but you notice with this warm front, it's bringing the milder temperatures, and anyone seeing snow, that's changing over to rain as we head through the morning here. 36 is our current temperature in Green Bay. It is windy out there, so we do have a bit of a wind chill. Feels like 27. That still is just fine. So here's that area preset, pretty much affecting most of the state here. A couple lulls around Green Bay. You see more rain coming in from the south. But the changeover is happening along and north of 29 right now because we're starting to filter in that milder air. Skycast showing that. Actually, it's a little bit slow on the changeover, if you notice that. But going towards the noon hour, most of us then going to be seeing rain, and that through the afternoon as well. Now, how much snow here early this morning? You see some minor accumulations way up north. And then one more shot as we head through Friday afternoon and Friday evening, but nothing major. So we do have winter weather advisories still going until noon for Shawano, Menominee, Langlade, Northern, Oconto, Marinette. Menominee's go until 3 o'clock. That might be dropped early. It's 37 already. Oshkosh and Fond du Lac, wind chills, they're not much of an issue. Feels like 20s. Going up to high today of 43 degrees. Emily, I'll time out the weekend here coming up.
Sounds good. Thanks, Fish. Authorities continuing the investigation into a fatal Christmas Day fire. NBC 26's Jennifer Nazaw has the latest from Waushara County.
The Wild Rose Fire Department and the Waushara County Sheriff's Department identified the 71-year-old man found dead inside the home as George Janka from the town of Rose. The Sheriff's Department says they responded to a report of a house on fire in the town of Rose around noon on Tuesday. Firefighters tell us when they arrived at the house, it was fully engulfed in flames, and they called for additional help. They believe the fire started inside the kitchen. While fighting the fire, they found Janka and his dog dead inside the home.
This affects our community a lot, and they all have reached out and offered their assistance in any way they could.
The town of Rose is a small community, and people we talked with say when a tragedy like this happens, everyone steps in to support each other. The fire department tells us the cause of the fire is still unknown and under investigation. Jennifer Nazaw, NBC 26.
Thank you, Jennifer. And moving over to Shawano County, more than 30 animals are dead after a barn fire. Our Ryan Curry joins us from the newsroom with the details.
The fire broke out just before 4 a.m. Wednesday morning at the 7800 block of Morgan Road in the town of Red Spring. And when crews arrived on the scene, they noticed the barn was completely engulfed in flames, and the livestock living inside the barn had died. Now, according to authorities, there were 30 cows, 6 horses, as well as some chicken, cats, and dogs inside the barn during the time of the fire. As of now, authorities are calling the barn a total loss. An investigation has been issued to determine the cause of the fire, but authorities do not believe the fire to be suspicious. And we've also reached out to the family who owned the barn. They have declined to speak at this time. Reporting in the Green Bay newsroom, I'm Ryan Curry for NBC 26.
Thank you, Ryan. An NBC 26 update this morning. Police in Manitowoc are still looking for a man who intentionally drove into a home this weekend. According to police, David Keller, a 45-year-old man, fled the scene after he tried to drive into someone's home on 25th Street. Police say the crash caused significant damage to the front yard, front of the house, and several cars in the driveway. Police ask if you have any information on Keller to contact them as soon as possible. President Trump returns to the White House from a surprise trip to visit U.S. troops in Iraq. He's now back on the front lines of a political battle at home. Both sides are digging in on day 6 of a partial government shutdown. NBC's Scott McFarland has the latest from the impasse from Capitol Hill.
Good morning, Emily. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers remain off the job this morning. There appears to be no end in sight to this government shutdown because neither side appears ready to budge.
Cheers, photos, and autographs during President Trump's surprise visit with U.S. troops in Iraq.
First of all, at ease. Let's have a good time.
Speaking with reporters, the president acknowledged the outlook is less cheery in Washington. He says there's no timetable for ending the standoff over the partial government shutdown.
How long do you think the shutdown will last, Mr. President?
Whatever it takes. I mean, we're going to have a wall. We're going to have safety. We need safety for our country. As
national parks and federal buildings remain closed for a 6th day, neither the president nor Democratic leaders are budging in their fight over whether to spend $5 billion on a southern border wall.
It continues to be in the president's lap. The president has the ability to open government. All he has to do is tell Speaker Ryan that he'll sign the very same bill that the Senate originally passed.
Meanwhile, Democrats are promising hearings into the second death of a migrant child near the southern border. An 8-year-old Guatemalan boy died late Christmas Eve after falling unconscious on his way to a New Mexico hospital. The Homeland Security Secretary calls that death heartbreaking. Customs and Border Protection says it's ordering medical checks of all migrant children in U.S. custody.
As for the shutdown, congressional leaders have promised to give their members 24 hours notice before having a vote to reopen the government. That means day 6 of the shutdown is not likely to be the final day. In Washington, Scott McFarland, NBC 26.
A gun rights group is suing the Trump administration for banning bump stocks. The Gun Owners of America filed a lawsuit yesterday against the ATF. They say the ban is illegal. The lawsuit is requesting a court injunction to stop the ban. Bump stocks are devices that make semi-automatic rifles fire more like automatic weapons. A day after Christmas, Wall Street came roaring back. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up almost 1,100 points. That's the largest single-point day gain ever. All the more remarkable when you consider what happened Monday on Christmas Eve, when the markets were down more than 20% from recent highs, and people were talking about a bear market. The rebound driven in part by holiday sales. NBC's Kristen Dahlgren breaks it all down for us.
A post-Christmas bonus on Wall Street. Today's big gains completely erasing Monday's steep dive.
Wow, a dramatic rally to finish off the day.
All 3 indexes soaring, thanks in part to some positive news for retailers. Amazon reporting it sold a record number of items over the holiday season. It's been a volatile month, today ending a 4-day losing streak in which the markets appeared on track to clock the worst December since the Great Depression, amid concerns over the government shutdown and questions over the future of Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Today, the administration tried to reassure investors. Top Trump advisor Kevin Hassett with NBC's Hans Nichols.
You've made it very clear that Secretary Mnuchin's job is safe. Is the Fed chairman's job safe?
Yes, of course, 100%, yes.
100%. The Fed chairman's job is not in jeopardy by this president.
Absolutely, that's correct, yes.
That was a signal that politics wasn't going to take over economic policy, and investors liked hearing that.
Fears of an impending recession eased for today.
How significant is it? That remains to be seen. When you get this kind of a snapback rally, you want to find out if it's going to be confirmed by even more rallies down the road.
Now, before you celebrate the end of 2018, do some work now to avoid unpleasant tax surprises next year. This is especially important now because 2018 was the first year under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Experts say it's critical to increase contributions to your retirement plan. It may be too late to max out your 401k, but experts say it's not too late for other savings accounts.
Any sort of individual retirement account, an IRA or a Roth IRA, lets you make contributions for 2018, for this year, all the way till you file your taxes next year.
You can also get major tax benefits by giving to charity. The new tax bill doubled the standard deduction for single taxpayers to $12,000. Thousands of people in Sweden have opted to trade in their ID and credit cards for tiny microchips implanted underneath their skin. The chips, which use near-field communication technology, take the place of key cards, rail cards, and credit cards. The chips are typically the size of a grain of rice and are implanted just under the skin between the thumb and forefinger. So many Swedes are lining up to get the microchips that the country's main chipping company says it can't keep up with the number of requests. All right, this is a hard one to see for car lovers. Police spent the morning fishing out a Ferrari after a man drove off a dock in Palm Beach, Florida. The man somehow managed to get out of the car once it was in the water. And people on a passing boat helped him get out safely. You can see crews having to pull the car out of the water. It was quite the sight for everyone to see. And just in case you're wondering, the cost of a new Ferrari starts at around $250,000. Whoops.
Well, maybe you wanted a new one because that's an older F430. All right, anyway, 36 degrees, of course, car stuff. Thanks, Emily, for that. It's gusty out there, but it's mild in the Fox Valley, so wind chills feel like 20s. That's not too bad. And we're watching the change over to rain for a lot of us. Now, if you're along or north mainly of Highway 29, that's where we're still seeing some snow, but even that changeover is starting to happen as we go through the next couple of hours. Here's Skycast. By the mid-morning, a lot of that moving over to rain, and it rains into the afternoon for many of us, maybe kind of a lull to the south. Now, we still have winter weather advisories for some of our northern counties like Shawano, Menominee, Langlade, parts of Oconto, Marinette, and Menominee. Right now until noon, Menominee County, Michigan, just a little bit later. But either way, some of those might be dropped early because that changeover is happening already. Look at Shawano, it's 35, 37 already in Oshkosh, Fond du Lac, and Manitowoc. So anyone still seeing some snow up north, you're going to see that change over to rain. The rest of us, Green Bay, Fox City's rainy today, high of 43 degrees, and it's going to be